We sometimes sing a song at church called Only a Holy God by City of Light. And this song is actually a great exploration of God's holiness. God's holiness is the attribute of God that is most used in the Bible to describe who he is. It's probably the best summary of what God is like. Holiness is essentially otherness. God is the one and only being with all of the power to make a world so beautiful and life-giving as the world we live in, which makes God utterly unique. That's what holiness means. It means that he is other, he's unique. It even means that he's strange or even weird. God is the original sore thumb because he sticks out. He's not like anyone else, and no one else is anything like him. That song that we sing is actually a really great exploration of the theme of holiness in the Bible, especially in the chorus where it says, "Come and behold him, the one and the only." Because God is unique, he's different. And because he is unique and different, he's worth beholding. And actually what I want to do in this devotion is kind of just go through that song verse by verse and explore the character of God's holiness. So let's go through that song. The first verse says, "Who else commands all the hosts of heaven? Who else could make every king bow down? Who else can whisper and darkness trembles? Only a holy God. Commanding the stars, making kings bow down, controlling darkness. All things have their source in God because he is the one from whom all things come." God is the source of all things. He is ultimately powerful. The next verse talks about God's holiness exposing his beauty. "What other beauty demands such praises? What other splendor outshines the sun? What other majesty rules with justice? Only a holy God." You see, God's holiness means that he is morally pure. He's without blemish and without stain. And that means that above all else, he is beautiful. And his beauty, it invites our singing to him. It invites our praises. It actually even demands it, as the song has told us. In the Old Testament, we're told that King Jehoshaphat appointed men to sing to the Lord and to praise him for the splendor of his holiness. We're told about in Isaiah the angels who spend their whole existence in the presence of God, crying out, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty." It's like that's the only words they could think of to describe him. God's holiness is beautiful. And so because it's beautiful, it's worth singing about. But more than that, God's holiness is also powerful. The next verse of the song says, "What other glory consumes like fire? What other power can raise the dead? What other name remains undefeated? Only a holy God." God's holiness required Moses to take off his sandals when he was in the wilderness, when he saw the burning bush. It required that the priests and the Levites would go through this long ritual process so that they could be cleansed before they entered the temple. Because God's holiness is a powerful force. Holiness is a little bit like the sun. The sun is unique in our solar system, which makes it somewhat holy, and it's powerful, and it's the source of life. But all of the life-giving power of the sun also makes it dangerous for us. Not because the sun is bad, but actually because the sun is good. If you come near the sun, you'll be destroyed by it. And holiness works the same way. If you approach a holy God with any kind of sin or impurity, you will be destroyed by that holy God. Not because he is bad and looking to destroy anyone, but actually because he is so good and pure. Which is why the last verse of the song is so powerful. This is what it says. "Who else could rescue me from my failing? Who else would offer his only son? Who else invites me to call him Father? Only a holy God. No, only my holy God," says the song. God's holiness can be seen in the fact that God, he couldn't just forget about human sinfulness. He was too holy to overlook sin or to just brush it under the carpet and forget that it existed. So God had to deal with sin. This is what Arthur Pink says. "God has often forgiven sinners, but he never forgives sin. And the sinner is only forgiven on the ground of another having borne his punishment. For there is no shedding, without the shedding of blood, there is no remission of sins, as it says in Hebrews. God has given us Jesus, who bore our sin and our punishment that we deserved, so that we could approach our holy God, so that we could come near to him without being destroyed. And it's not just that we can approach him, we can call him Father. He's not just a holy God, he is my holy God. And because of that, we should come and worship this holy God.